This is a massive, massive wake up call for all Americans worldwide. In today's video, I'm going to show you a video from Patrick Bet Davis that will blow your mind. Now, I have very similar views to him on the back end of what he says after the person he's interviewing makes a comment, but this should be very shocking to you. I'm also going to show you the wealth gaps in between the wealthiest people and the working poor. I'm also going to show you how the old retirement system is absolutely dead. My name is Coach JV, and I've helped over 6,000 warriors worldwide since 2020 break this complex system down into simplistic forms. The truth is, doing the same thing and expecting a different result, we all know the answer to that. It's insanity. But there's a greatest time in human history right now with the biggest transfer of wealth in human history. And the fact is, the wealthier are going to keep getting wealthier, but there's going to be a few people in the bottom 99% that wake up to this new reality and completely transform their family's life by 2025. In the description down below, we're getting hundreds of messages. I launched my new Index Universal Life team. I'm looking for agents as well as people who want to understand the infinity banking concept, how to protect, grow, and compound your wealth. Remember, indecision is a decision. In the description of this video, you can set an appointment with one of my wealth creation team, or you can join my academy as well and get deep into my team and learn how to build and get out of your just over broke system. All right, so let's dive right into this video. On the back end of this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what I'm doing the next 12 to 16 months. So we're first going to watch this video, which I will attach down below the full interview. It's 2 hours and 13 minutes with Colonel Douglas MacArthur. Okay. So this is Patrick Bet Davis, his PB, my dyslexia, PBD podcast. And so this is a brief part of his interview with Colonel Douglas MacArthur. I want you to listen to what he says at the financial system. Okay. Now, Patrick Bet Davis, at the end of this, he said, I'm not a doom. See, I'm reporting the news and what's happening, facts, figures, numbers, logic from a 30,000-foot overview, what interest rates are doing to the economy. I'm not a doom and gloom guy. This has transformed my family's life and our wealth timeline. What I did is I took absolute disaster in our financial system and have turned it into gold. And it's the greatest opportunity in human history. The worst economic times in the world create the greatest opportunities for people to become wealthy. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so listen to this interview. We're going to listen to a brief part of this interview, a little bit of a longer clip. And then I'm going to show you facts, figures, numbers, logic around the wealth gap. Then I'm going to show you a video from Tony Robbins talking about the actual fees inside 401ks. And I'm going to show you how many people actually end up broke with the 401k.
And last but not least, it's very likely none of the above will happen, which is why it's called a prediction, but only the paranoid survive. So do you think do you think Trump's going to be there next year as a Republican candidate?
Well, first of all, Only the Paranoid Survive is one of the best books I've ever read.
Andy Grove. He recommended it to me.
And if you want to understand what's wrong with the military establishment, all you have to do is read what he describes in there with IBM and all these other major corporations. It's a brilliant book. I try to get everybody to read it. Now, secondly, first of all, I think it's brilliant. And I think that if we were living in a linear world, in other words, where one event follows the next logically, you're absolutely right. I don't think we'll ever get to the 2024 election.
This is really interesting, guys. So he's talking about we will never get to the 2024 election, but just listen to what he says, and then we'll unpack what's happening with the financial system part of it.
I think things are going to implode in Washington before then. I think our economic financial condition is fragile. It's going to come home to roost in ugly ways. I will tell you, I don't know exactly how it will happen. I think we're going to end up in a situation where we find out the banks are closed for 2 or 3 weeks and nobody can get into them.
You think so?
I think we're going to run into something like that, yeah. I also think that the levels of violence and criminality in our cities is so high that it's going to spill over into other places in society. People that normally think they can live remote from the problem are now beginning to be touched by the problem.
Okay, so this is talking about this civil war, right? So we study Ray Dalio, all of us study Ray Dalio, the changing world order. So this is where everything starts to fight against each other within the superpower, right? Is the fall of the superpower. So we're transitioning into the civil war part of it. Now remember, pull the log out of your own eye. Stay focused on your discipline and consistency. There's no reason to go against anybody. It's the greatest time to get your shit together.
Then I look at this thing in Ukraine. I think Ukraine is going to lose catastrophically. It's going to be a complete collapse. And that too is going to have an effect here at home, because people are going to say, well, wait a minute. Everybody told us Ukraine was winning. Everybody told us X, Y, and Z. I mean, sort of the Russian hoax on steroids. All of those things are going to come together or converge in some way that's going to prevent us from reaching, the status quo. Oh, another election. Oh, another set of campaigns and so forth. So what you're saying to me is eminently plausible, because I don't think Biden will make it through the year. I think he'll be gone. And I think everybody knows that this person, Kamala Harris, lacks the ability under any circumstances to be president of the United States.
When you say gone, you mean passing away because of his age, or merely being incapable and finally being, what is that? What do they call it? 25th Amendment or whatever it is?
Shuffled off the stage. I think
they'll save face, though. They'll do it in a way to save face.
Exactly.
Sure.
I think
That's what
Patrick,
you're speaking of, right?
Yeah. I think what Patrick wrote is accurate. Something like that will happen. And then the search begins, and Newsom is the logical candidate for them. He's presiding over California, which is their poster child for the future of America. If you want to know what the Democrats want America to become, look at California. How deeply in debt is California? What's the state of affairs in that country of its own? It's a catastrophe. Everyone who can leave that has any talent, ability, or understanding is leaving. Businesses are leaving. No one wants to be there. So what are you going to end up with? A very small minority of very wealthy people and millions of poor people, most of whom don't even consider themselves to be Americans. So that's the dream world for the left, California.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll tolerate that. So I don't think it'll ever get that far on the national level. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think we're that complacent. I also know that you get revolutionary change when people can't eat.
Boom. Boom. Revolutionary change, shock to the system when people can't eat. The middle class, and I'm going to show you numbers, guys, where the middle class is still surviving right now. Somebody who made $50,000 probably in 2000, now you need to make about $150,000 to equal $50,000. People making $150,000 a year are living to paycheck. Rent has gone up 30%. Guys, this system is not going to go backwards. It's not going to go backwards to 2019. It's only going to exacerbate and implode on itself.
When the supply chains break down and you can't deliver food, when they can't afford to buy the food, when they can't afford to buy the gasoline, these things are the catalysts for real change. And everyone's betting that the left in charge in Washington can keep all of this going without any interruption. Maybe they're right. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that the gloom and what is it? The
Gloom and doom.
Gloom and doom. The chances of that for me, it's less than 5%. Again, my opinion. You got you. We
well,
can have a friendly
see, I don't see
conversation.
that as gloom and doom.
Yeah.
I see that as our savior.
See, I agree. I agree with that. To have massive. So if you think about this, like if we think from a spiritual sense, what's done in darkness comes to light. And the part I want to unpack, and I agree with Patrick Bet Davis, but he's built this massive ecosystem. We're building a massive ecosystem because he's made different decisions within his paradigm. And he has the wealth now, and we're helping people do the same thing. That's your choice right now. But to think about this really quickly is what's done in darkness comes to light. This can has been kicked down the road for a very, very long time, guys, since 1970s when we detached from the gold standard and they made our money fake. This has been president after president. Doesn't matter who comes in the next 4 years, guys. This can has been kicked down the road so far that it has to implode on itself to be rebuilt. You need a shock to the system. It's not by chance that we have on-demand liquidity, real-time payments, 24/7, 365 days a year, guys. It's here. The system has switched. It is here. So you need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors. And just like you said, when people can't eat, the savior comes in with some UBI, universal basic income, but this is the greatest opportunity in human history for you to shift your family's timeline. So hang in there. At the back end of this video, it's going to be a longer video, but we have to understand, we hear this doom and gloom stuff, right? But let's look at the facts, figures, numbers, logic. Okay, let's get into a logical circuit right now. If you're watching this video, you're probably not a multimillionaire or a billionaire. So we need to make decisions. We need to take action. I was on my parents' couch 4 years ago. I've radically changed my life. So it's possible for you. And I'm going to share with you exactly what I did on the back end of this video. So I want you to see this from the World Economic Forum. So this is from 2012 to 2021 and 2020 to 2021. What this chart is showing you, the richest 1% gained about 63% of new wealth created between 2020 and 2021. Interesting. They shut the globe down globally, and the richest people in the world become much wealthier. The wealth gap becomes much more extreme. Jerome Powell says we're coming back to a new economy leveraged towards technology, and he's worried about the middle class. Most mom and pop companies got shut down, and trillions of dollars, millions, billions of dollars are transferring from the baby boomers down to the next generation. And we need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors. All the banks are over leveraged. America's at 120% debt to income ratio. They printed more money than in history. Banks are losing deposits on a daily basis, and people are going to non-bank financial institutions, and they're trying to protect us from the speculators, just like which is cryptocurrency, just like they did in 1971 when they had no money. Once again, they couldn't even service the gold. They didn't have enough gold to service the dollars. Guys, it's the same paradigm. Okay. So this is how the wealthier keep getting wealthy, and the poor keep getting poorer. But let's go deeper into this, okay? So this was a video 7 years ago, and this is Tony Robbins. He's on the board for I think it's called 401ks or your personal finance something. But what he's doing is he's breaking down the traditional banking system around the fees in 401ks. So you hear people when we talk about index universal life, they're like, oh, there's all these fees. Well, it's the cost of insurance. The first 7 years, insurance is not sexy. It compounds on the back end. A 401k moves fast on the front end, and you start losing your wealth on the back end. Insurance is opposite, right? But he's talking about the lack of clarity around fees in a 401k. Most of you investing into your companies or into 401ks and they're matching, guys, you're getting eaten up with fees. And then you're taxed on the back end. Did you know that the taxes right now are lowest than they've been in a very, very long time? Do you have any idea where taxes are going to be when you're supposed to retire? So you're literally putting, you're like, well, you're putting it in pre-tax or before taxes, right? Before it's taxed. But on the back end, you're going to get taxed. We're putting our money into index universal life and getting tax-free income. We're getting a discount on taxes and getting tax-free income from our life insurance policy on the back end of the year. So listen to the fees, and then I'm going to break down how the 401k keeps people poor.
It's mind-boggling.
Well, you are a board member at America's Best 401k.
Yes.
And you've specifically looked into the fees that people pay at 401ks and the fact that most people don't even know that they pay a fee.
This is the most amazing thing. It's a $4.4 trillion industry that for 30 years, they didn't have to tell you what they were charging you. Only 3 years ago, the Department of Labor changed the rules and said, you got to tell people what you charge them. Wow. So now they do that by giving you a 35 or 50-page disclosure document that if you have a PhD in finance, maybe you can figure out the hidden fees.
Yeah, good luck.
So here's what you have to know. Most people, 58% of the people don't even think there are any fees. I did 3 core messages for your viewer. 1, fees matter and you're paying them. A 1% in fee, because of the compounding over time, costs you 10 years of retirement income. The average person thinks they're paying less than 1% or nothing, and they're paying 3.1%. That's 30 years of fees. So I'll give you an example. If you have a 35-year-old person, they have $100,000 and they put it in the market and they let it compound for 30 years till they're going to retire, and they're paying 1% in fees, they have $761,000, which is nice growth, from that time. But if you paid 3% in fees for the same stocks, you have $432,000. So in other words, you have 76% more money if you have less fees. Or on the other view, you have 19 years less income. So people don't understand that fees matter. The second thing they don't know is that the funds matter. Where would you want to put your money? Most people are not stock experts.
No, I know. It's like Greek to a lot of people.
Totally. So what do? Let someone else tell them, which is a disaster. So I interviewed Warren Buffett. I interviewed David Swensen, who took Yale from 1 billion to 24 billion, the smartest minds in the world. And they all say, you're never going to beat the index. In fact, 96% of all active mutual funds will never be able to match the index over any 10-year period of time. So 4% make it. Now, some people say, I'm going to find the 4%. Good luck. If you play blackjack and you get 2 face cards and you're interviewed, it says, hit me, I think I'm going to get an ace. You have an 8% chance of getting an ace. So we show people how to get those funds.
The index funds.
The index funds, but at the cheapest rate. You can get them and they'll charge you 3% for Vanguard, which we charge 0.054. So that's like, buy a Honda Accord for $30,000 or pay $900,000 for the same car. That's what people are doing.
So basically he's breaking down, and he's, they built your best 401k, but basically he's breaking down the fees around 401ks. So we need to start asking why. Where is our money going? But I'm going to show you guys something pretty powerful here, right? Because I've been talking a lot about my wealth strategies on the back end. I'm going to share with you exactly how I'm doing it. right? Okay, so this is really important to understand. You're sitting in your job, right? You're trading time for money. You get a paycheck and you're trusting that the 401k is taking care of it. You're getting feed to death. And this is a brief history of the 401k. So this is the creator of the 401k. So even the father of the 401k, Ted Benna, tells Journal with some regret that he helped open the door for Wall Street to make even more money than they were already making. So basically, the American dream was a lie before 1971, guys. You could go to school, get a good education, get a good job and a pension, but pensions started to die. They're dying. The pensions are done, guys. So now you hear people saying, well, I'll retire at this age because I'll supplement it with Social Security. That is not the way to retire, guys. And I'm going to show you how deep this gets. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper. So even the 401 creator said, man, I just created a way for Wall Street to make more money. And then you go back to this. This is why this shit keeps happening. The 401k is a tax code, guys. It is a tax code that does not benefit the working class people. Okay. So let's take a look at this. This is from, I think, Wikipedia. I pulled this up. Want to make sure. Yep, Wikipedia. So Fidelity Personal Workspace and Institutional Services, PWIS, is the largest 401k provider. Retirement plan services is 1.4 trillion. Write that down. 1.4 trillion under administration and 32 billion in total defined contribution assets. That's as of 2015. Okay. So again, Fidelity is the largest 401k retirement plan services with 1.4 trillion under management. Okay. This will blow your mind. How to become a 401k millionaire with Investopia. Midway through 2022, portfolio data from Fidelity, the number one 401k manager, number one, that roughly 294,000 individuals were 401k millionaires. Let that sink in. Only 294,000. I mean, it just like blew my mind when I saw that, guys. Blew my mind when I saw that. Think about that for just a moment. Only 294,000 people. This is wild, wild numbers, guys. So I want to bring you guys back here. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So if only 294,000 retire with $1 million in their 401k, and if at 4% interest for retirement income, let's just say 4%, with inflation, that's about $40,000 a year in retirement income. If you look at a single family home in Arizona now, 1,800 square feet, and the area that I live in is going for about $600,000 with the interest rate, that's about $4,000 a month, about $3,800, depending on how much you put down, anywhere from $3,500. So think about that. If you make $40,000 a year and you have a $3,500 mortgage payment, and do you think prices are going to go down anytime soon? Do you think interest rates are going to go down anytime soon with our bad policies and inflation out of control and the printing machine shut off now? Guys, so here's what I'm doing. So I've grown a lot in my maturity over the 4 years. I ended up on my parents' couch and I realized that, the wealth paradigm was not taught to me. So I made it my obsession to understand how money flows through the system. The money always ends up in the same pond every single time. When they give you a stimulus check in 2020, what did you do? You deposited into the bank. And what did they do? They took that $2,000 deposit and they lent it out to the next person at interest. So you have what's called a fixed account, which is a bank account. So what I've done over the past 4 years is I take my money. So the fixed account is when you put it into a bank account, they give you 0.25, maybe 1% now, right? Say you have $100,000 sitting in the bank. Okay, they're giving you 1%, maybe 0.25. They take that $100,000, go look up Bank of America and see how much life insurance they own. They index your money in life insurance. They put it in the capital markets and they lend it back to you at interest. So they give you 0.25 or 0.1% and they make 100 times on your money. So here's what I did with my money over the past 4 years is every single Friday when I get paid, my money goes out into the capital markets, specifically a speculative asset called cryptocurrency. So I put a good amount every single Friday. I started very low. And as the markets went up, I pulled profits and I bought more and I compounded that. Okay. So first I had cryptocurrency. So I would have money come into my account. I built up my cryptocurrency portfolio, but I realized I was still indoctrinated. I was inside of my company as an employee. I wasn't overseeing it. I had the indoctrination mindset, and then I had cryptocurrency. Just like you go to school and get a job and have a 401k, I ran a business, ran inside of the business, was an employee trading time for money, and I had cryptocurrency. And I kept saying to myself, that's my retirement. When XRP goes here, when Bitcoin does this, that's indoctrination. So then I started to meet mentors, and I brought on mentors, and I realized I needed to be diversified. I needed to learn how to scale and run and oversee my businesses. So I moved myself into overseeing my companies, and I stopped trading time for money, and I started trading knowledge to make money to free up time, so that I gained freedom of time. And then I started to understand I need to diversify. So cryptocurrency, when my cryptocurrency goes up or any of my investments go up or I get money from my companies, I'm now putting it into index universal life, which is, people call it the infinity banking concept. Okay. So I started doing that about 2.5 years ago. So Becoming Your Own Banker, Nelson Nash, is a great book that you need to read. So this is how I'm doing it. This is you don't have to do it this way. So I'll put it into my index universal life policies. The way that we'll be set up by 2025 is I will have a legacy index universal life account. We'll have my retirement, which is already set up, and then we'll have our compounding IUL. Okay. So what does that mean? So imagine you put $1 into cryptocurrency this year. Okay. It goes parabolic. I only put $1 that I can afford to lose. Okay. Very important. Only that you don't put any money, because it's a very speculative asset. Put it into intrinsic value cryptos that you think are going to be here. That crypto shoots up to $10. You take the $5 out. What most people would do is they'd buy back in the market. Well, you just took the 1 to 10, you took 5 and put it back in, right? I take the 5, pay my taxes, put it into an index universal life policy. Okay. Now I'm compounding. Now I'm earning money twice. I can borrow from that policy tax free. There's some fees in there and things like that, but I take it out and I put it into a cash generating asset. Now I'm earning money 3 ways off of $1. With the cash generating asset, I can buy back into cryptocurrency. Now I've multiplied my money 4 ways. What do the banks do? They take your fixed money, they index it, they lend it out, right? Okay. They index it, they lend it out, and they put it in the capital market. So you're doing the same thing now. So then we're starting to get into real estate. Okay. So we have our crypto, we have our index universal life. We're getting into real estate now. We have our precious metals, and we are diversified in business. So we have become professionals at scaling businesses now. So we have equity in multiple companies, and we work to buy profit or equity in companies to create more earning capacity. So your first job is to create a budget to bring in more income. Your second job is to figure out how to increase your earning capacity. Your third job is to figure out how to become an intelligent investor by reading the book Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. If you're investing in a speculative asset called cryptocurrency, you should have an exit plan as you go into 2024 after the Bitcoin halving. When the Bitcoin halving happens, you need to remove the greed gene out of your body. When everybody's excited coming into crypto, you need to be pulling your profits out of crypto. When you pull your profits, you're now sitting on fiat fake money. Okay. There's opportunity cost. You need to take that money and leverage it or put it into something just like the wealthy do. They put money into things they save to borrow to build more wealth. Okay. What poor people do is they save to spend their money. Okay. So what you're going to do is you take that income and you put it into something like index universal life or cash value policies. And then you could sit there and borrow against it if you need to, or you can compound that wealth. And if you want to take it a step further, how we'll be set up by 2025 is eventually we will have a trust over the insurance policies. And that will be our legacy wealth, just like the Rockefellers. Look at the Vanderbilts and Rockefellers. The Vanderbilts lost all their income by 7 years, okay, because of they were in the fiat system. And then the Rockefellers insured their wealth, and every single child born into that family gets an insurance policy. Okay. So this is what we teach. This is what we do. And this is by practical application. So I am now a licensed insurance agent. We are helping people with this concept. It's growing very, very fast, but you have to change your mindset, guys. That's the biggest thing. If you don't rewire the foundation, you're going to end up in the exact same situation. I'm very passionate about this. Why did I go broke 3 times in my lifetime? I knew how to earn. I've always known how to create my earning capacity, but I kept going broke because the foundation was broken. Once I changed the foundation, it radically changed my situation. So as I go into 2024, I'm going to start my generational wealth building cycle. So I learned how to earn and create my earning capacity. I went from losing everything to, I'm very honest about my income. I went from 2020 losing everything, having a good crypto portfolio, didn't touch it. Went from 0 to, I think I hit 318,000 last year. And this next year, I'll hit over $500,000 of earned income. My companies generate well over 7 figures. Earned income for me, I'll make over $500,000. Okay. But the key is what I'm doing with that $500,000. I'm investing that $500,000 and I'm multiplying that $500,000. So within the next couple of years, I'm going to have a generational wealth cycle, and then I'll be inside of an asset bubble that just keeps producing. If I can do it, you can do it. I started on my parents' couch. I got obsessed with understanding how the system works. Once I understand how the system worked, I started at a very small level, and I just kept building and building and building. As I accessed new information and education, I went into a new frequency field. If you hold that for a long enough period of time, you get new opportunity. You can go up and down that frequency field. There's a billionaire version of the system. I will put this on video. I will be a billionaire. It's already written. It's already done. The resources have already been spent and focused on people. I already connected to the frequency. Therefore, my actions and behaviors are focused on moving that needle forward and helping humanity. Okay. They want you outside of yourself and not understanding that you can do this yourself. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Everything in this description, if you're not familiar with technology, click the description of the video. You'll see how to set up an appointment with my team for Index Universe Life. If you want to join my team, you can join the Warrior Academy to understand how to build and scale your insurance team. But if you just want to sit down with one of our wealth protection team to completely free consultation, click the description down below. We love you guys. We'll see you on the inside. Warriors, rise, get your shit together. Let's go.